Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lunchtime Detroit Lions Talk, brought to you by the Detroit Lions on the Prowl. And today we're going to talk about the rebuild 2021, who stays and who goes. We're also going to talk about Matthew Stafford, Kenny Golladay, the wide receiver position, the Detroit Lions at rebuild, and what we think, who's staying, who's going. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. But first, before I do anything else, I'm going to bring in my partner in crime, Kurt Steele.
What up, though? Welcome to the program. We appreciate you coming and checking us out. You know what we are. This is Detroit Lions on the Prowl. We are your home for Detroit Lions news and rumors. So what we need you to do is, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you know when you're getting fresh content from us right here on Detroit Lions on the Prowl. Now let's get this thing started right now.
Peyton Manning for GM of the Lions. Okay, can we come back to reality and talk about reality? You know what? You might have a point there. I don't even know if I know he has said he's wanted a general manager's job. And if you think about it, though, if he could come into Detroit and turn this whole thing around, what kind of legacy would he leave? I mean, it's an awesome opportunity for him to build a team in his image and what he thinks should happen, hire the coach he wants to hire, and be the face of the franchise. I don't know. It could be alluring to him. Maybe not. Maybe it's just too much work for him at this point.
Yeah. You know what? And it's just we're not saying that he's going to be the next GM. We're just looking at him as a candidate as well. So, and same with this. Charles Polson says, got to think Harbaugh will be more of a coaching candidate than a GM. Well, the reason why we looked at Jim Harbaugh is because he is a potential head coach that could be dual-hatted as a GM. So we're looking at that because Sheila Ford-Hamp said she would not be opposed to having a head coach that is the GM as well. So we wanted to profile him on the GM side, and we're going to profile him on the head coaching side as well. Stay tuned.
Yep. It's coming. Dada Fa says, Chris Spielman as GM, he knows what it takes. The only thing I worry about Chris Spielman with, I don't worry about the intensity. I don't worry about the grit or the commitment to the job or the commitment to the city of Detroit. I do worry about his experience. I think we would have to, if he was GM, I think we'd have to get an assistant GM that knew a lot about scouting and those other things. So I think that I love Chris Spielman, but I got a little pause on him as GM.
Yeah.
Big job.
All right. Kevin B. What up, Kev? Kev says, anyone that co-signs Harbaugh as coach is either a troll or just delusional, as the Michigan fans that think he'll bring the glory days. I don't know about that. He was a successful coach at the San Francisco 49ers. And actually, he hasn't had that. There's some things that's going on at Michigan that, I can see why people would say that because of how he hasn't won against Ohio State. But I think this year is an anomaly. My Michigan rant right quick. The Michigan team is very inexperienced. They didn't have a lot of guys that stayed at the program that, and then the offensive line is hurt. So, I mean, this year is a year of attrition at Michigan, but I think they can get better. I don't know if he stays at Michigan, but I don't base my thoughts on Harbaugh based off this season at Michigan.
Yeah, I understand that too. I think he's a better NFL coach than he's a college coach, to be honest. And
he's had more success at the pro level. If you look at it, he's had more success at the pro level than he did at college, even at Stanford.
Yeah. So Speakeasy Sports, who was on last night's Detroit Sports Alliance Roundtable that we were a part of, both of us were a part of last night. He says, I'm the 313th view, which 313 is the area code for Detroit, if you didn't know.
You know?
He said, just saying, though. And I'm like,
what up,
that
though?
was cool. And you got to check him out. If you haven't checked out Speak Easy Sports, you should check him out and subscribe to his channel. Yeah, he's got some good content over there.
Yes,
as well.
he does. He is doing big things over there on his YouTube channel. He's doing his thing. What up, Speak Easy? All right, last but not least, Nick Burke. Hey, Nick, what's going on, brother? You should do a GM video on John Dorsey. We may look at him. He has experience and drafted well. I think it's coming. We're doing a bunch of them, guys. So, if we haven't talked about the guy you think we should talk about, or the woman, because, women can be your GMs as well. Just look at the Major League Baseball. I did a great thing in KC and had Brown on the Browns, I guess is what he's saying, on the upward till to a disagreement with ownership. Not sure why people are not talking about him. Thanks. Okay. Hey,
I'm going to admit, I don't know a whole lot about him, so
I know who he is. I know who he is because he is the guy that really had some his footprint on the Browns before the new guy has taken over. But Dorsey is a decent GM candidate, and we're going to look at a lot more guys here coming up, or individuals per se, in the near future.
Yes, we will. Okay, so we're going into the main course right now, guys, and it's going to be who's going to stay and who's going to go. We're going to start with a quarterback and wide receiver positions today because Matt Stafford has been the topic of conversation ever since we've had this firings. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? What do you think, Kurt?
I think with the cap situation and looking at Mike Disner, he's just a huge cap hit to let go next season. I think he's going to be here at least one more year. And I think we talked about this last night on the roundtable, but shout out to our guys over at DSA. Yeah. What up, J-Mo? What up, man? And OMG is Lions Talk, man. Yep. The guys in the roundtable last night. I think that you're going to have to, with the cap situation, you're going to have to hold on to him for another year at least. I believe that Matthew Stafford is still a good quarterback, and I think that we need to, if we need to set us up for success in the future, you hold on to Stafford, you build around him, and then you set the next quarterback up for success by having a team that's in place, sort of like what they did out there in Kansas City, where they kept Alex Smith, drafted a young guy, built the team around Alex Smith, and then when time was right, they made the switch. It just wasn't that they just dumped off Alex Smith. No, they built the team, and then Alex Smith was a quarterback, and then when it was time to move on, they brought in Patrick Mahomes. So I think that's the situation that I would like to see in Detroit as well. Build the team up, front lines, the offensive line, defensive line, those trenches. Front seven for the defense has definitely got to be a priority because we're just sucking right now, and that will help the individuals we have in our secondary play better if we can get some pressure on the quarterback and have our linebackers tackle better, especially in the run game. It's ridiculous, and just build the team around and just have some good weapons. So when a new quarterback does take over the team, he's set up for success.
I think our linebackers are thinking they're in a bullfight or something because they just kind of go, ole, and then just let the people go by. I don't know what the heck is going on there. Yeah. But there's so much to unpack with Matthew Stafford right now because he is getting up in age. He's only 32. He's going to be 33 next year. My situation is we only have 5 draft picks. If you do trade Matthew Stafford and get a second for him, there, you got 6 draft picks. You got 3 in the, you got 1 first round, 2 second rounds. That helps to rebuild this team. But if you let him go, there's a lot of dead money in that, and that would hurt us signing free agents. I do think we build through the draft, so I wouldn't have a problem with them doing that. If they're going to go all in on the defensive and offensive lines and the linebacking core, you need to get fresh blood in there, and you need to get a totally different attitude on defense, I think. So my priority is the defensive lines, offensive line, and the linebacking core, because we never build that first. We always get these great position players and skill players like Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, Matthew Stafford, Kenny Golladay, all these people that are great at what they do, but we still lose. And the reason that we still lose is we never build that offensive line and defensive line at the same time to complement each other. One, the way we can run the ball down someone's throat if we choose to. We can give the quarterback more time to go and pick the defense apart. And on the other side of it, we attack the quarterback. We get the ball back. We cause turnovers. We cause havoc. And that's a team that wins.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
So,
go ahead.
And that's one thing I will have to credit Bob Quinn with, is that he did concentrate a lot on the offensive line. You look at, the offensive line that we had when he got here and look at what we have now. I think, a couple of these games were, but for the most part, anomalies, but for the most part, they played very well this year. We had some injuries and some to some starters. So, you have to rely on your depth. So we haven't done that very well, in the second part of the season. But I think that Bob Quinn needs to get some credit for that offensive line, because I think that he has a good base right now, some good building blocks on the offensive line.
Yeah, and should Stafford stay or go? It is up to the next GM. But in my opinion, I kind of agree with Kurt on this. I think he stays one more year, and we draft the quarterback of the future in this upcoming draft. That's where I think it's going to go. But hey, you never know. If they want that draft pick, and they think this guy could start for us, this new kid. You know what? Go ahead. But let's go on to David Blau. What do we think about him? And then we'll go to Chase Daniel. David Blau is interesting. Yes.
You know what though? He's a strong arm kid. He has good mobility. I think the really thing that's lacking for David Blau right now is playing time and experience. I mean, he got some last year with the injuries to the two guys ahead of him. But do I think he's a bona fide starter? No, I think he can be a potential really good backup. So I think that, that's one guy that we actually can build and coach up to be a decent backup, so we don't have to just have a big fall off if our starter goes out of the game.
Yeah, I think he's decent. I think he needs time to develop, and if we can continue to have him as the third starter, then as the third in the depth chart, then I think we're going to be okay there. Moving on to Chase Daniel, this is the interesting one for me. I think this is the reason you can trade Stafford, and I'm going to tell you why. We are going to suck next year. It doesn't matter if we have Stafford or not.
I actually really agree with you. I think it's going to be a down year next season.
And we could start Chase Daniel, and and then draft somebody, and then maybe if they're ready in week 7, week 6, something like this, we put the kid out there, and then you have Chase Daniel as the backup, and you have an emergency guy as in David Blau, and the quarterback position would be pretty set, for that year, and we still get the draft pick and all that stuff. Cap situation, yeah, it's going to hurt us, but I think we want to build more through the draft than we do free agency at this time anyway, just because of the fact that we want to rebuild this team and get some young guys in here to grow up with some of the young guys we still have. So I think that Matthew Stafford could stay, could go. I don't think it matters, because I do think that we have the pieces in place to really suck next year. And hopefully we go ahead and get some defensive or offensive line players with those picks for the next year.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the wide receiver position, and like a moth to a flame. Anytime you say Kenny Golladay, ooh, people have
always going to be
reaction.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm going to give my take first on Kenny Golladay, then we'll go with the rest of them. I am not a person that is going to keep Kenny Golladay. I want to sign and trade him, or I'm going to let him walk. Why am I going to do that? It sounds crazy, right? Let's give up our best wide receiver. We are going to suck next year. I'm going to keep saying this until it really sets in. You can't pay your skill position players before you have a defense and an offense. You know what I'm saying? The lines, the trenches. We already have the tight ends. So let's continue to build that offensive line, get a really good right tackle maybe in the draft. We need that right guard position. Maybe it's Stenberg, maybe it's not. But I think that we continue to build the offensive line until we have a really, really good top 5 offensive line. And then we turn our attention also to the defense with the linebacking core that is slower than molasses in January. It's like, you can't set snails out there and expect them to get to the quarterback or anything else. There's so many folks there that got to go. And I think we need to rebuild those people through the draft as well. So if we're putting so much money into Kenny Golladay, like I said with Stafford, I guess you could franchise him for a year, see what happens. But why? I don't understand that when you're trying to rebuild. So that's just my take. Everybody else can say, oh, no, he's the best thing since sliced bread. He doesn't get separation for me. He is really good at the 50-50 ball, probably the best I've seen in a long time. But there again, you're going to have a new quarterback. You're going to have a rookie coming in, or you're going to have Chase Daniel. I either let him go to a team that he can contend with, or I sign and trade him.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. To me, it depends on what goes on with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford stays a year, you keep Kenny Golladay. You franchise him for a year, or maybe Mike Disney can work out a cap-friendly deal. He's a really good capologist. He's one of the best in the league at making sure that the team has enough cap space going forward. Even with a big contract, he knows how to backload them, so we're making sure that we're getting the most bang for our buck with the players. So I think that if you keep Matthew Stafford, I believe for continuity, and I think you need to keep Kenny Golladay. There's going to be some other guys that may end up leaving the team. That actually, I think there's 2 that's going to end up leaving here really quickly. But I think that whatever Stafford does, that's what's going to happen with Golladay. If Stafford leaves, I think Golladay is gone as well.
I think it's a good take. I don't think a lot of people think wide receiver position, they're a dime a dozen and stuff like that. I'm not one of those.
Nah.
I think that we drafted well. He's a 3rd round draft pick, and he outperformed his contract. He outperformed his draft placement, if you want to say. So is he a great receiver? Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah.
But is a great receiver going to get us to the Super Bowl in 5 years? No. Not now. Yeah. We have to build that interior.
Yeah. I think that with him, I think that he's an outstanding talent. Like you said, especially for the place he was drafted, amazing catch radius. Feel like you said, 50-50 ball. He just knows how to go out and he knows how to go and get the ball. He high points the ball. He makes some ridiculous diving catches. So, I mean, like, he's one of those guys. And kind of like, Calvin Johnson-esque a little bit. I'm not comparing him to Megatron. Don't get me started with that. Do not come at my head about that. But he's one of those guys. He's open when he's not open.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Stafford can throw it up, and even in double coverage, and Golladay can go up and get it. So let's go through this rapid fire. Marvin Jones, you think he's going to stay or go?
I think he's gone.
Me too. But I think he's gone too. At the end of the year, he's a free agent. I don't think he comes back. No. Marvin Hall, interesting one.
Cheap keep. I would
resign him. I'd
resign Marvin Hall. He has a ton of deep threats. He actually has better hands than most people think he does.
Yeah, he does. I've actually been fairly impressed with him, especially when Galladay's been out.
Yeah.
And Danny Amendola, no. Pack up your suitcase, bro. Please go. Please leave.
We're going to holler at you later, dog.
Take care. Enjoy your retirement or whatever you plan to do next.
He can hang out with Patricia and Quinn with former Patriots.
We wish you well on your future endeavors. So that's the wide receiver position. Of course, we have Quentin Cephas. He's going to be back. We know that, and he's a young guy. We should rock with the young guy.
You know what?
That's what I think.
And one thing I think I think that really needs to happen with him, and I think that he has the dedication to do that. He needs to work on his hands in the offseason, because no matter who the quarterback is, and I didn't see that at Wisconsin. That's the only problem. But to think at Wisconsin, he had big numbers and a crappy quarterback. They never had a good quarterback at Wisconsin, but he had good numbers. So I think that that he needs to work this offseason to get in his hands right, and then I think he'll have a really good next season, because he knows how to run routes and he knows how to get separation. He's not the fastest guy, but he knows how to get open.
He does. Something I said before, that Matthew Stafford throws a really hard, fast ball, and it takes some time to adjust to that. I know when Golden Tate came here, his completion percentage was very high, but when he got here, he began to drop, and DeAndre Swift hadn't dropped a pass before, and then he drops that big one in the Bears game. There's just something with Matthew Stafford.
Look at Calvin Johnson's fingers. You can see the impact he has on hands. If you look at Calvin Johnson's hands, I mean, they're mauled.
Right. We don't have a hands team anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
Just from catching passes from Stafford.
So in conclusion, on the wide receiver position, I think this is an opportunity to build through undrafted free agents, through late round draft picks, things like that. I think that at this point, I think for me, it's the last position I build. We are good at the running back position. We're really decent offensive line wise, but I think we need to make that just a solidified offensive line, and make sure that all those guys are going to be there for a while. Tie them up, make sure that line is going to be cohesive for a long time to come. And the defense needs to be addressed. I just don't think that the skilled players are where we're going to make our money. We need to find our Ndamukong Suh. We need to find our, like a Khalil Mack if we're playing that type of defense. I think we're going to go back to a 4-3, but
I hope so. Happens. The one thing I really would want going forward in the future for our skilled players, especially for the wide receiver position, I just want some speed. I just want some speed, some separation. That's because, that's one thing that the Lions wide receivers have had a trouble, except for really Marvin Hall this last season, is really like separation down the field.
So for the question of the day, we're going to say we've given our picks on who we think is going to stay and who's going to go. What players at the wide receiver and quarterback positions would you want to keep from this previous regime as we go through this regime change, we go through this rebuild? What players do you want to keep? What players do you want to say, take a hike? You let us know in the comment section below, and that would be awesome. Thank you. Now we're going to go to my favorite part of the show. It is Dessert with Kurt.
Hey, it is time for some tasty morsels, but these morsels kind of have a little backstory. Now, we all know that the Lions fired Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn, but what you don't think about and we don't see, because I know what Lions fans, we were like, oh yeah, they finally gone, ding dong, but there's one thing that people don't get, and I'm not talking about them losing their jobs, because of the fact they're going to get paid the rest of their contract, so they're not worried about that. It's the personal relationships. And there's a great article out at ProwdOfDetroit.com. They're talking about the relationships that Matt Patricia had with his coordinators, and two in particular they keyed on. One was Corey Unlin. Corey Unlin has known Matt Patricia for years, and he said he was actually really hurt for Matt Patricia. He did say, you have to move on. It's a business, but he was really hurting for him, and to see him going through that. And he said that one of the things that he reached out to him for his help with the team this year, bringing him in as the defensive coordinator, and his help failed. So you don't see that. Now, I'm not saying boo-hoo or whatever for Matt Patricia, but I'm just saying look at the relationships you have with personal people. If you might have a coworker that you work with that may be one of your favorite people at the job, and to come in and see that person's fired or laid off, that really could hurt, because you're hurting for your friend. It's not about it's a business part of it, but there's a personal thing too. And the up and coming Braden Combs, he said that Matt Patricia will always have a place in his heart because he gave him his first job as a special teams coordinator. So, you know, that's a big deal to him as well. So, you know, looking at the personal relationships that the coaches have with each other is a big deal. So, you know, I'm not saying lighten up on Patricia, but just kind of see the other side of the coin, people, because guess what? He was a sucky coach, but he maybe have been a good friend, and that you never realize. So
I think that's true. I mean, I didn't like the way he went about certain things and stuff, and I don't think he'd be somebody that I would consider a friend, you know, especially if I was a player. But you know what? Everybody is human, and everybody deserves to be treated a little better than sometimes we treat them. I think that's the case here in Detroit. I think that's that.
Yeah, I think that's the case. You know, I think that, you know, I think a lot of the backlash that Patricia has gotten is a reaction to how he conducted himself with the media and some of the things he said during press conferences and some of that thing. So, you know, and then some of the interactions with some of the players, you know, and the backlash he's getting from some of the former players that were here in Detroit, even that played for him or were in the regime before he got here. And some of the things he said about the team that was prior to him getting here is the reason why he's getting the reaction he's getting. But his friends, you know, he has friends, you know, in the league. He has friends on the Lions staff still. So you just see the other side of the coin. That's all I'm saying. But, you know, every dessert can't be delicious and tasty morsels like we had the last couple of days. Sometimes you just got to eat a cup of yogurt.
That's true. I want to thank you everybody for watching the video to the end. It does help us tremendously to spread this content to all the Lions fans that we can. Also, we really appreciate your comments, man. You guys are showing up and showing out there. Everything you guys are doing for us, we really appreciate each and every one of you. We try to spotlight you on the show every day, and we're going to continue to do that. So that's my appreciation for the day of all of you guys, and I'm going to send it now to Kurt to take us home.
Hey, as always, we appreciate you right here at Detroit Lions on the Prowl, your home for Detroit Lions news and rumors. And we appreciate you. If you haven't already and you listen to me right now, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Like the video, comment down below. Answer the question of the day. If you don't have an answer for the question of the day, just tell us how we're doing or what content you might want to see on our show. And you know what you got to do. Whatever you do in life, you got to boss up, ball out, and be the best version of you that you can be. For man Jim, right here on Detroit Lions on the Prowl, this is Kurt Steele, and we will holler at you real soon.